Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to another episode of Fishing with Crendor. I think we're actually on episode 50 at this point, so that's kind of crazy. And today, I'm happy to be joined by Joanna of Joanna's Leveling Guides.
Greetings, greetings. Hello, everybody.
So, thank you for joining me. And if for anybody that doesn't know what you do, why don't you tell everybody what you do? Well, I guess I told them you do leveling guides, but you can tell them a little more in depth.
All right, yeah, okay. So first off, thanks, Crendor, for having me on your podcast, and also, yeah, what I do is, well, originally I was speedrunning 1 to 60 back in 2006, and I just started doing all that stuff just for fun. And then so many people asked me like how I was able to do it so quickly. And because of so many people have asked me how I was able to do that, I then took it upon myself to write a leveling guide and also record a 1 to 60 video also. And yeah, and just over time it just became very popular. And just because of the popularity of the leveling guide, it motivated me to continue to constantly keep working on it and keep improving it over the last decade or so. And I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. And I'm still doing speed runs and constantly improving my leveling guides over time.
Yeah, I think when a lot of people think about classic WoW leveling or even leveling guides, most people knew about your guide. Like I remember even back then being like 15 or 14 at the time, and like most people be like, "Oh yeah, Joanna's leveling guide." So like even back then, you were pretty well known.
Yeah, I was first to level 60 on 7 different servers, including the first of 50 contest that Blizzard held back in 2006. So I was kind of well known for just doing all that stuff. And yeah, and that helped get my leveling guides out there more efficiently. And yeah, just over time, everyone has been thanking me for the awesome leveling guides and is constantly motivating me to keep improving them and making them better.
Yeah, so I mean, if you do want to check it out before even listening to this, there will be a link in the description below where you can click on it and check it out. But for now, let's learn a bit more about you. So, how did you get into just video games in general?
Yeah, when I was growing up as a little tiny kid, my dad was actually in the business of supplying arcade machines and pinball machines to local bars and hotels and stuff. So he had like 500 arcade machines at his shop, and we always had about 5 to 10 actual arcade machines and pinball machines in our home. So I'm playing
Okay.
like arcade machines at the age of 2, and that's like all I did like all day long. And I got pretty good at it. I got addicted at it at like a very young age. So then from there I also had a brother that was also highly into computers and stuff. So he was always like building the best computer, and also we had like all the DOS games and stuff for the PC. So I was playing like all the DOS games, and then we got an NES, Genesis. So I just turned into a big gamer, and also I was like very dedicated towards whatever it was that I was playing. And yeah, and things just kind of just took off. I started to really enjoy speed running. I discovered that at the age of 7 with the games Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest,
Oh
and then
yeah.
I speed ran many other games after that. And yeah, it just went on from there.
Um, what did you enjoy about speedrunning? Was it just kind of the thrill of doing it faster than anybody else?
Yeah, yeah. It's not. It's just constantly trying to beat your own time and seeing improvement. It's just like another way of playing a game. But it's just very addicting and very fun. And once you can see that you find a new route in the game, it just feels good to actually find new routes and new strats that are just more efficient. You can get through the game quicker. It just got addicting, and like almost every single game is fun to speed run. Like just about like I have discovered that like every game is fun to speed run.
Are there any games that before WoW you speed ran outside of the initial one you played that were some of your favorites?
Yeah, so the first game I speed ran is Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, and then a few years later in the early 90s I speed ran Doom 2. That was cooperative speed runs with my friend. And then in the mid 90s I speed ran Quake 1 just individual levels. And that was fun. And then in the late 90s, I speedran Super Castlevania 4, and I was actually the very first speedrunner of that game. And then I speedran, what else did I speedrun? StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, Brutal Campaign. I speedran, and then, yeah, World of Warcraft in 2005. And I might be missing a few other games, but I mean, well, actually, I was a big Castlevania speedrunner from the years 2013 to 2017. I actually did that full time on Twitch until
Oh, wow.
until they announced Classic WoW was coming back out, and then I jumped on that full time again because I've really missed Classic WoW over the 10 years that it disappeared. So seeing that game came back was really exhilarating for me to jump back on that.
Was World of Warcraft like your first Blizzard game, or was like StarCraft or Diablo that? Because I know you said you played StarCraft.
First Blizzard game was Warcraft 2, and followed by Diablo 1, then Diablo 2, and then Warcraft 3, the Reign of Chaos, and then also the Frozen Throne shortly after that, and then World of Warcraft. I did play Diablo 3 for a little bit, but not as much as nearly as the other two Diablo games. And I never really got into Hearthstone, nor did I ever get into Heroes of the Storm. But yeah, all the other Blizzard games are really, really fun, especially all the Warcraft games for sure.
So when you got into WoW for the first time, you kind of already knew about the whole Warcraft universe, but like, were you going into it being like, this will be the perfect game to speed run, or were you going into it just kind of not knowing anything?
I went into it not knowing anything. Like there was no point on my mind to speedrun it when it first came out. In fact, like my first character took me like I think it might have took like 25 to 30 days of playing time because I went AFK, took my time, didn't even care. I read all the quest descriptions like fully, and I just like absorbed the game as much as I could. I was not first to 60 on my first character because I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to have fun, do the dungeons, and just absorb the game. I didn't decide to start speedrunning until I think it was my second character. And even my second character, I did get first to 60 on the Realm, but it was like a playtime of like 10 days, and that was with the Warlock. And I wasn't even really trying to speedrun. I was just trying to just kind of hurry up, and I still got server first to 60 by doing that. But then, like, over time, though, it was like my third or fourth character where I really decided to actually crank it up a notch and actually try my hardest to go from 1 to 60 by studying the game, practicing, and keep improving. But yeah, this went on from there.
So like, that's actually really interesting because like you spent so long kind of absorbing the game. So is that like a common thing you do when you play a game first? Like you kind of play it really slowly and take it all in, and then you speed run it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Almost every game that I play, I just first play it casually, just for fun, to absorb the game and just have fun, and then eventually it turns into a speed run later on. Yeah.
So like you're even taking notes, I imagine, as well, especially for something like WoW where it's so big.
Yeah. Speedrunning a game is, I do take tons of notes, tons of practice, and also I do a lot of timings, like timing how long does it go from point A to point B, and see all my different options and just see what's faster, basically. I mean, that's really the gist of speedrunning a game.
So when you are playing WoW, is there like when you're playing it, I guess, over and over and over again, does it start to feel kind of boring, or does the speed running actually keep it fresh?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's grinding. Well, grinding in WoW can be a little monotonous, but as long as you are constantly like finding new routes and jumping around, questing and stuff, then it's not nearly as boring. But yeah, I haven't really been like totally bored with WoW yet, but it's mainly because I keep finding faster things. Like I'm finding faster routes constantly, and I'm constantly improving my leveling guides in the process. So things are still staying fresh to me, and I'm still eager to do more runs. So not quite yet. I'm not bored with WoW yet, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, because I know for me personally, I'm still enjoying it a lot too, because I'm level 58 right now, but I've kind of been doing that, like taking my time through the game and kind of just enjoying it all. but I'll probably want to do it a bit faster for when I do my priest next, and then you start doing the same quest over again in all the same areas, and you're like, all right, I know what this is, I know where that is, and so you need I don't know. I think even trying to do it faster is a way to keep it fresh, but like being efficient in doing it faster is really nice because you're not wasting time.
Yeah, turning things into a challenge like such as speedrunning does make the game, at least in my opinion, much more fun to play. Like I really enjoy challenges and watching myself accomplish those challenges, and speedrunning is a great way to do that.
Are there like any areas that you would say are more difficult to kind of figure out of like an ideal path to take as opposed to like other paths? Like maybe at the starting zone you're like, oh, obviously we do this to this and that's like the easiest path, but like then you start getting into like Hillsbrid and like all these other areas. Like what's the most difficult part about mapping it all out?
Just taking everything into account, like understanding how the graveyards work, especially since you can do graveyard warps where you can die on purpose to warp to a graveyard. So taking that into account while also understanding the questing paths that you can take that's most efficient. Yeah, different zones were a little bit more challenging to map out than other zones. Especially, yes, I would say the starting areas, like at least after you get out of the very first starting area, the 1 to 6 zones, and then you do 6 to 12. That those can get a little complicated on the paths that you can take for that. Like those were harder to map out than things like Hillsbred or like later zones where everything just seems a little bit more linear. Yeah, it all depends on the zones and stuff like that, but that's one example.
So like have you even done like a speed run of every race and every class? Like have you done every combination almost?
No, no, I haven't done that yet. That would take ages to do, but I'm currently mostly done horde speed runs with the troll hunter, and I've also done warlock speed runs as well. At least I only did the warlock ones back in actual vanilla days, but as far as classic WoW, I've only done a troll hunter so far.
Do you pick the troll hunter? I take it because it is the fastest to level with.
I mean, I do think the berserking ability for trolls is very effective. I mean, you got the orc plus 5% pet damage, which is nice, but I still think berserking is a little bit better. It's not like a huge difference. Also, I pick trolls also because like the looks. I just like the looks better. But that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people go into it being like, oh, I gotta pick this racial ability because like it's the best, and I gotta pick this. But like, I mean, how much time does that actually save you in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, not much, not much at all. Really, though, berserking in my eyes, it can help save your life, like more so than the +5 pet damage for the orcs. Like if
Hmm.
you're about to die, you can pop berserking, and the less health you have, the faster that berserking works. So if you're about to die, you use berserking, and it can potentially save your life. Whereas the +5 pet damage won't really necessarily save your life as nearly as much as say berserking.
Um, I was gonna say one thing I've noticed is in your guides now you're adding different classes. Like you said, you're doing warlock and then adding more and more. So like, what does it feel like the differences in speed in terms of like each various class that you've experienced so far? Like, is it a term of like a couple hours or like more than that?
That's actually a really good question, and we don't really have an exact answer with all that. And also, there's many variables involved when discussing which classes are faster. We do think that warlocks are about just as fast as hunters, but we do think that the aspect of the cheetah ability for hunters is what really is the like the deal breaker as far as why hunters are faster than warlocks, because they have aspect of the cheetah, and that's a very powerful ability in helping you move around the world much quicker. Whereas warlocks, though, even though they do get a free mount at level 40, while hunters will have to get the gold for their mount. But overall, though, warlocks can do very good DPS, and they also have good management with their pets and stuff to take on multiple mobs at once. They can do that just as good as hunters can. But yeah, I mean, we also think mages could be the fastest leveler class as long as, say, if like layering is enabled into the game, and if they don't have mob competition for the AOE grinding, mages could be the fastest depending on mob competition, and then druids would be like third or something like that. And yeah, but yeah, I don't have like an exact list of which classes are faster or slower. I wish I did though. That is a question that I would like to have answered myself.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where people are always like, oh, I think Hunter's faster or like Warlock, but then it's like after that, I think it kind of slows down. Like obviously Mage is good because they can do the AOE farming, but even then, like there's just I think that's what's so great about classic WoW as well is there is that diversity between all the classes.
Yeah, yeah, all the classes do like totally different things. Yeah. So like speedrunning WoW is kind of crazy in the sense where you got all these different classes to choose from. They do totally different abilities, and yeah, we had to just kind of make a decision on which ones are the fastest ones, and things like that. But still, though, like every class is a category in and of itself. So like you have the record for the mage, the warlock, the druid, and even like slower leveling classes like warriors, rogues, and things like that.
Um, so I'm kind of curious, how did you actually come up with the name Joanna?
Yeah, it was actually totally a random decision. I first started playing WoW with the name Mancow, and I played like my first like 3 or 4 level 60 characters was with the name Mancow, and I got like first to 60 with like 3 of them with the name Mancow, and then all of a sudden I decided, well, I'm going to do this next server with a totally different name. I'm going to choose a female character, and I'm just going to just randomly just choose a random normal name. And the first one that popped in my mind was Jonah. I'm like, okay, let's go with that, and just surprise everyone that I'll be first to 60 with the female troll, and then I did. I got first to 60, and I decided to do it again, and then again, and again. And it just kind of just took off. It was really just a totally random decision.
Oh, so it's actually Jonah, not Joanna.
Well, back in the day, I always did say Joanna, but then when Classic came out, I had to make the decision of how I want to actually pronounce my name. Because back in the day, there's no streaming platform. I couldn't really actually talk to my fans. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to actually say my name. And I decided to say Jonah. And the reason why is because, well, I'm a dude playing a female character, and Joanna sounds more feminine, while Jonah sounds less feminine. So yeah, I just decided to just go with Jonah. And it's, plus, it's less syllables. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go with that.
Yeah, because I know there'd be a lot of people seeing that and they'd be like, I don't know how to say it, so I think most people just went with Joanna, just because. That's good to know then. So I'm kind of curious as well about kind of like what games um, you enjoy the most that you don't speed run. Because it feels like speed running is almost like a challenge, so it's almost like a competition with yourself, if not more than anything. But like, are there any games where like maybe you speed run in WoW all day and you're like, man, I want to go relax with this game?
I Okay, so the first game that popped in my mind to answer this question is the Trials games on the Xbox. But then when I just thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, those games are speedrun games too. Well, yeah, that's what I play in my spare time actually. At least lately is the Trials games, like Trials Rising on the Xbox One.
Hmm.
That's what I've been playing for fun. But when I'm like, wait a minute, that is a speed run game. But
So you just
other
love
than
speed
that, though,
running.
like I actually will play games like, say, Curse of Monkey Island or like Day of the Tentacle, and those games are clearly not a speed running game, but those are games where I'll just play just to, like relax and just chill out. Um, but yeah, and also like games like I also play like old DOS games like Pinball Fantasies just for fun on occasion. Yeah, I mean, there's also like Doom. I'll play cooperative Doom online. That's like another thing I'll play just for fun.
No, that's cool. Yeah, because it's like when you think about it, I guess when you really do enjoy speed running, it's not even really a job. It's like you just enjoy it, so you just keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, I just enjoy doing it. Yep.
Um, so kind of going back a bit as well. Did you speed run the like Warcraft RTS game series as well? Because I just finished playing that like a few years back. Because I never played through the whole campaign, so it seems like something you could speed run. But I don't know like if that was something you did or not.
Yeah, those games are speed runnable, although I have not speed ran them. I do appreciate others that do, and I do find them entertaining to watch. Although I did speed ran StarCraft 2 Brutal campaign. That was a fun experience. And yeah, I would do that again.
Yeah, that seems it seems fun. Because I guess every game genre you come at it from a different way. Like obviously an MMORPG, it's like all about power leveling, doing all that. But a game like an RTS game, it's more like, well, I don't know what you would do for an RTS game. Like, what would you plan out for that?
Well, you would do the campaign, and you would just try to beat the campaign like as soon as possible, like as fast as you can. And it's fun to do that. I've done that before with StarCraft 2. So, and also I've watched Warcraft 3 speedruns with the campaign, and those look fun to do too. So yeah, those are definitely speed runnable.
Yeah, and I know the new remastered version's coming out pretty soon, or it's supposed to. So maybe that'd be a good time to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm actually really looking forward to Warcraft 3 Reforged. I was a big Warcraft 3 fan, and I can't wait to play that game when it comes out.
Yeah, did you play any of the online stuff, or did you only play single player?
I actually with Warcraft 3, I mostly did online, like mostly two versus twos, also one versus ones, and some three versus threes. And yeah, I would play. I put many hours into that, and actually got pretty good at it too back in the early 2000s. And yeah, I mean Warcraft 3 is actually one of my favorite all-time video games, probably right after Quake 1, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're hitting a point where they just keep remastering these old games and bringing them back. And a lot of people look at it and be like, oh, you know, they're just doing it for money. But it's like at the same time, it shows how well those games hold up that you can just kind of give them better graphics and maybe better like UI or something. And they're still great games like all these years later.
Exactly. Yeah, there's still a lot of really great games out there. They're just kind of getting old now, and repolishing them is, I think, is a good idea. But I mean, still, also, we need to create some brand new games too that are also just as good. And I think that's one of the problems lately is that they're just games nowadays are just like not as good as the old games, and that's why a lot of the older games are being remastered and stuff now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's just from like the lack of heart and soul put into it. You know, it's like a game comes out and it's like they already got DLC for it, which shows that, you know, they're not their it's mainly for the money is what it boils down to.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but I was gonna ask you about that as well. With classic WoW happening, what would you rather have? Would you rather have classic WoW continue to produce content after they hit max and that's it, or would you rather have them go to Burning Crusade and try that, or maybe a bit of both?
That's a good question. I've been my mind's been flip flopping back on that question. I think they should possibly do both of them, like relaunch classic TBC and then possibly create classic plus, maybe on its own separate server or something like that, where it'll be like a whole new expansion pack based on classic WoW. You know, like in my opinion, like I think they should like add zones around the two main continents, like open Highjaw up and make that like a 60 to 62 zone, and then like open other zones that are directly on the continents, and have us level from 60 to 70 with those continents while still making the main cities like Ironforge and Orgrimmar. Like I think that's how I wish that they would have originally done TBC, is do something like that. But that's my idea of like the first expansion pack for classic WoW to be something like that.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think that'd be really fun. Pretty much anything that just keeps the main gameplay of classic WoW going, because it's like that's what everybody loves about it is the slower game speed and like the old school RPG feel of it all, and just the communities that it builds.
Right. I do like TBC a lot, how you go into the portal, but One thing I don't like about that is that it kind of made the old 1 to 60 content like obsolete. Like no one
Hmm.
really wanted to hang out in Orgrimmar or Ironforge or even in the old continents anymore because everyone was just all in Outland. And I feel like if they made just the new zones within, Azeroth instead of into a portal, like I think that could keep classic WoW like alive. Like I think it can keep it alive better. I, at least I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, even in Cataclysm, where they tried to like bring it back to Azeroth, it still didn't feel completely connected because it was like, oh, you just take a portal to this zone instead of actually traveling there. So
Yeah, a lot of things in Cataclysm just I felt just went downhill. Like I just feel like you just don't change a game like that so drastically. Like that was just Cataclysm felt so wrong in like many different ways, in my opinion. Was not a fan of it. Actually, that was right when I started to lose interest in the modern WoW direction.
yeah, so like I was gonna ask that too. Like, have you really played any modern WoW, or was that the last time you played modern WoW?
Yeah, I played all the way up until Miss of Pandaria, and actually wrote leveling guides all the way up until Miss of Pandaria. But then I never played WAD or BFA. Mainly because, well, I was going to write a leveling guide for WAD, but I never got beta access. Plus, I was losing interest in the game, so that was right when I quit, and I started streaming on Twitch full time for speedrunning the old retro Castlevania games.
Yeah, I see. Well, you didn't you didn't miss much.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so Castlevania really is like probably your favorite thing then that you've speedrun then, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's my favorite thing, but I definitely had a lot of fun doing that from 2013 to 2017, streaming full time on Twitch, doing speed runs of the retro Castlevania games. I was very happy that I did all that. It was a lot of fun, and I met a lot of new people on Twitch. I went to the GDQs, the Awesome Games Done Quick and Summer Games Done Quick, and played at those events with those old games. So that was a big fun experience for me, for sure.
Uh, what would you say is your favorite game you've speedrun then? I know I asked you like some of your favorite games. What would you say is the favorite one?
Yeah, my favorite game to speedrun probably of all time is Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. That game has like huge sentimental value for me, and it's a great skill game. Anybody that wants to just play a great game, I highly recommend playing Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. It's such a great game. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time, too.
Yeah, I've actually never played a Castlevania game. I've seen people play it and I've seen people speedrun it, but like I've never actually played it myself. So I'll probably check that out now. You've talked me into it.
Yeah, yeah. If there's one Castlevania game I recommend playing first, then I would say Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. Such a great game. It's one of the best games like ever made, in my opinion.
What is it that makes it so much better than even like the other Castlevania games?
The actual mechanics of the game, like you can actually whip in all directions, and by doing that, you can create so much different types of movements. Like you can jump forward and whip upwards or whip downwards, whereas the other Castlevania games, you can only whip straight forward, and just the movement mechanics are not as in depth as Super Castlevania 4 is.
Oh, I see. So it's just that ability to kind of whip freely, essentially, that makes it so good.
Exactly, and that also makes it a much better speedrun game as well, like a much more in-depth speedrun game. Like we're still shaving minutes off that game. It seems like every year we shave off another 30 seconds from that game, like every year, and it just keeps going and going and going because we keep finding new little tiny strats like everywhere in that game.
I'm kind of curious too, because whenever I watch people speedrun things, it always blows my mind, like how efficient everybody is. And I take it that's just a lot of practice, but like, do you kind of go into a zone when you're speed running? Because it feels like I'd like know I would mess up if I tried doing that. So like, is that just practice?
Oh yeah, practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. And also at least another aspect of speedrunning is if you really want to be good at it, then you should try to learn all the hard strats, like right from the rip. Like don't be afraid to go for the big strats that take a long time to learn because they will pay off and they will help you get a much faster time in the short run.
Are there any games that are kind of easy to speed run, but they're still fun, or is it the hardest speed running games that are probably the most fun?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I haven't really speed ran a game that where I didn't really have fun on. Like for example, Castlevania 1 on the NES. That's a very simple game to speed run. It's also a very fun game to speed run too. So that's one example of a game that's very easy to play, and it's also still very fun to play. Like generally, if you like a game, then and you don't mind playing it over and over again, then that game will be a good game for you to speedrun. Like that is a good indicator to let you know that you would enjoy speedrunning that game if you just don't mind playing it a lot.
Yeah, I think for me that'd be Banjo Kazooie because I've beaten that game like 3 times now, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting to the point where I think I probably could try to do like some sort of speed run. Although I don't think I'd be very good, but that would probably be my game that I
Right,
would
right.
pick.
Yeah, that is a good example. Like if you just like playing or beating a game over and over again, then that is your speedrun game. Like that would be the game that you would want to mind speedrunning for sure.
Um, One thing I always wonder too, like in a game like that where you speed run it, do you have to? It feels like you have to have a lot of patience because you could get like 3/4 of the way through the game and you mess up one little thing, and it's like, up, now I got to go do it all over again.
Yeah, yeah. If you're just starting off speedrunning, you don't necessarily have to reset constantly. But yeah, if you're trying to go for like a world record, like really crunching down numbers, then yeah, that's when you start resetting more.
Does it get kind of infuriating when you have to keep resetting if you are going for that, or do you kind of, just brush it off?
Yeah, you just brush it off mostly. I mean, if you still like playing the game and you want to see this new record, then you won't mind just starting over and going at it again. Because I've been through it many times, especially with like Super Castlevania 4. I put like years into that game, and I kept like restarting constantly, like right in the middle. Like it'd be like right in the middle of the game. I make one mistake, I click restart and just start over again, and I'm still happy playing it.
Um, that brings me back to WoW actually, because I was kind of curious how you go about kind of planning it all out. Like in my mind, maybe you just run through all this WoW stuff in one go, or maybe you get to like a certain zone and you spend a lot of time in that zone, and then you try to like find the fastest way, or like what's the process of kind of creating that speed guide for WoW?
Oh yeah, well, so the bulk of the speedrun route that I came up with for WoW was I did most of the work back in actual vanilla WoW, where I would do a run from 1 to 60, and then once the run is over, I would literally spend like the next month or so completely just studying database sites to see what quests are available and to see if I can incorporate them into the route somehow, while also just exploring the game world, finding shortcuts like in the game world that I can take that's on my route, and just basically just practice and studying the game. And then I would do another run, and then after that run was over, I would just do it all over again. Just keep studying the game, keep finding faster routes, and so on and so on.
So would you say the best quests available for speed running are just grinding quests where you can just kill mobs and then go turn it in really easily, or are gathering quests better? What would you say are the best quests?
There's a lot of variables involved in that answer. Really, yeah, just any quest that involves killing a bunch of mobs and looting them or something like that, or just really any quest in the game can be very efficient to do, and some quests are really good for the XP per time. Some of the there's some escort quests that are not worth it. There's some quests that are just they may be too low at your level for the time that you get there, so you would skip that. Things like that. I did a lot of measurements for XP per time for like many different zones and quests and stuff. So all that stuff that I wrote down is like directly into my route, like whether it's in there or not was depending on what the XP per time on that stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of varies, I guess.
So what would you say based on all that is like some of the best quests and some of the worst quests in the game?
Some of the best quests and worst quests. This like for example, let me see here. Like you know that escort quest at Northwatch in the
Oh yeah.
Barrens, and
Yep.
like that quest. I used to do that quest, the escort quest in the early speed run days, but then I stopped doing it after I did an XP per time measurement. It is horrible in the XP per time. So I recommend skipping that. It's also even in my guide to say it's a skipped. There's some escort quests that are also not worth the time to do. I can't remember them off the top of my head exactly. Um, let's see what other quests. The really though, my leveling guide includes most of the quests in the game. At least all the ones in the open world quests. Most of them are actually in the game, and there's only a few that are actually skipped. And I don't really have a list with me right now at the moment, but yeah, there's only a few that are skipped because they're just not worth the XP per time.
I see. So it's yeah, it's literally all measured out. Because I usually, when I would look at your guide, I used it almost more as a reference, which I still found it really useful as. Where like I'd be at maybe like level 37 or like the late 30s, where I kind of hit a really big roadblock, and I'm like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. So it's just I would look at it and be like, oh, Dustwallow Marsh can be good, even if it's just for like these 4 quests, and be like, oh, then I can go to Swamp of Sorrows for like a little bit, and before you know it, you're like level 38, and you're like, oh, now I can go here and there. So it even if you don't follow it step by step, it's still useful.
Right, right. And also another thing is, even though my leveling guides are labeled as a speed leveling guide, you can still use my guides just to keep on track with the game and also to just do the quests in like a very efficient order so that you are just kept on track. It's not necessarily like a speed run. Like you don't have to hurry up with my guide. Like some people think that they have to hurry up with the game, but you know, you can still take your time. My leveling guides are really good for uh, just staying organized with the game and just being in the right spots to be questing at.
Yeah, I think that's what I like so much about him too. Is just that organization, or like knowing like, hey, you have to buy these 8 pearls for when you go here, and like if you were to go there by yourself and not know that, you'd be like, oh, well now I got to go back to the auction house or go gather these pearls and then come back. But having that knowledge, you're like, oh, I'll be able to turn that in right away.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. So yeah, there's a lot of quests in the game that requires you to have items to just turn in, and all my and my guide includes all that stuff. Like you need like mithril casing at level 51 in Ungirl Crater. You need like a broad moon steel sword or something like that in Dustwallow Marsh. And also in Badlands, you get like a frost oil item and like a gyro item, and turn those in for easy XP. Like those are very easy XP. Just buy some items from the auction house and just turn them in for just easy experience. So my guide includes all those quests.
Would you say even with all that, that the best way to level is just kind of killing everything you come across?
Oh yeah, grinding on the way to and from quests is a very, very powerful tactic to helping you level faster. I highly recommend doing that. If you're trying to get from 1 to 60 ASAP, that is a very, very powerful tactic to get from 1 to 60 as fast as possible. There simply is not enough open world quests in the game to get you from 1 to 60 without needing to do some grinding. So if you constantly grind on the way to and from quests, you will be rewarded without not needing to grind in one spot in order to catch up with the guide. So yeah, grinding to and from quests is very, very powerful. I do that myself all the time with my 1 to 60 speed runs that I do.
Yeah, because it's like I remember when I used to play back in the day. You're like, oh, I want to avoid these mobs, and you just ride through them. And you don't want to do it. When in reality, you could have just killed everything along the way and probably gotten more XP than what the actual quest you're turning in is worth.
Exactly, exactly.
Um, So right now I'm in Azshara, quote, fishing. I'm not actually fishing because my fishing is level 80, sadly. So people are going to yell at me and be like, you're a fishing guy. You don't even have high fishing. I'm working on it. So uh, I know you said Azshara is one of your favorite zones. So is it because of just how it looks or the quest there? Or what do you love about Azshara?
Yeah, so back in vanilla days, when people asked me what my favorite zone was, I always said Azashara. And I think the reason why is because I like the fall type scenery, how things are kind of like fall oriented and the trees are changing colors and all that. Like I really love that. And also the thing about Azashara is there's not too many quests there, but there's still like a lot of mob camps like everywhere. Like it feels like Azashara was kind of incomplete back in the day, so in a way, it kind of made his zone kind of unique, like in a sense where you got all these like mob camps, but yet there's no quest for them though. And like in a way, I kind of appreciated that. Like it was a great place to go grinding on mobs because there's not too many people questing there, and it just felt kind of like deadish, and I don't know why, but it just felt like it had some uniqueness to it that I really liked about it.
Yeah, I actually have that same feeling. I always really enjoyed Azshara as well, and it was like one of it was because of that kind of autumn-esque feel to it, but it was like it's a very open-ended zone without a lot of quests, and then I guess it's very even if you are grinding, it's like a very peaceful grind because of how everything's really, it's like the sun's constantly setting in it.
Right, right. Very peaceful grind. Yeah, and also there's some very fun grinding spots there, like on the satires at the Lagash camp encampment, and also the Blood Elves is very good grinding spot. And it's just a great place to just be grinding at, I think.
Are there any other zones like that that you really enjoy, or would you say Azshara is the only one?
Oh, I mean, I like all the zones in the game are very, very well done. It's hard to say like what would be my second place. Like I always say like I like Tanaris a lot. Like I like the desert stuff. And man, it's like holy. I mean, even the Barrens is great. Ashenvale is also another great zone. Also, Teldrassil's. I look at Teldrassil and Ashenvale as almost like kind of like the same thing. They play the same music and it has the same looks to it. So those two zones combined are like one of my favorite places to be at. Um, String of Thorn Vale's nice too. I think. Like I like how they did Booty Bay. Like that's very very well done on that. And yeah, I mean, just a lot of zones are just great in the game.
Yeah, Stranglethorn actually lasts you like forever too. It's like from the early 30s all the way up until like the mid to late 40s. You have quests to do.
Right, right. Yeah, my leveling guides have players revisit String of Thorn Vale. I think like 5 times. Like first like level 31, then 34, then 38, then 42, and then 47.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that even skip it because they're like, oh, it's ST Vietnam. I don't want to go there. You get ganked all the time. But really, when I was playing, I only got ganked maybe like 4 or 5 times out of like the entirety that I quested there, which was a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there can be a lot of people wanting to do PvP there, and yeah, you kind of have to watch out in that zone, especially like group up with someone and try to do the quest there. But yeah, you definitely got to watch out in that zone. Probably out of all the zones in the game, as STV is a place where you definitely need to watch yourself for getting ganked.
When you do these, do you do them on a PvE server? I take it.
Well, back in the day, I did all my runs on PvP server, and I didn't have to worry about being ganked at all because I leveled so fast that I was always like 10 levels above the highest alliance player on the realms. So I never had to worry about being ganked. In fact, I never got ganked in any of my speed runs that I did back in the day. And I actually did a lot of ganking myself during the speed runs. That was a non-issue for me. But for classic launch, though, I did do a PVE realm because I didn't want to be stream sniped, and I just want to focus purely on 1 to 60 speed run. And PvP was just something I didn't want to worry about.
Because I knew whenever a new server would open up, I remember even people would go onto that server and they would like slash who whatever, and they would always see you, and I think that helped build your reputation as well, because it was like everyone would be like, oh, there's Joanna again at the top of the thing. So like, was there ever anybody that was like kind of even close to you at all, or like maybe somebody else that was getting at least somewhat close to your experience gains.
Yeah, I kind of made a name for myself with all those speed runs I did back in the day because like I was really like the only one that actually spent the time to actually study the game from 1 to 60 and try to hurry up and see how fast it can be done. I was really the only person that actually was doing that. And there wasn't too many other people that were able to keep up with me like at all. And the only one that actually really comes to my mind as far as actually doing a decent job of keeping up with me was Leshrak. He was the guy who in my 2006 run that I recorded, he was always like 2 levels behind me, and he did hit at 60. He had 6 days and 22 hours playtime. Mine was 4 days and 20 hours. He simply played a little bit more than me, but he was by far the best at keeping up with me. He was two levels behind me. But all the other realms, though, I just smoked everybody. Like it was just a 10. I hit 60, and usually the next person behind me was about 52 on average, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. In the first to level 50 contest that Blizzard held back in March of 2006, when I hit 50, the second place guy was 46. So
Oh
that would
wow.
probably be the second best player that was able to keep up with me. I think his name was Tacitus or something. I can't remember exactly on that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always interesting because like you would think there's at least a couple other people that were gonna be able to like keep up with you, but I guess not. So like nowadays, like did you have that issue? Like were you number one still, or were there people passing you up?
Oh yeah, well first of all, yeah, there's many speed runners, speed levelers out there right now playing classic that are just about as good as me now. So also on classic launch, I don't know if you were aware or not, but my website crashed due to so much traffic. I had so much traffic to my website that my web server simply could not handle the load. So I actually spent the first whole week of classic launch migrating my website to a dedicated server that was much faster and that could handle it. So I actually didn't play on the first week of classic launch. I had to fix my website, and because of that, once I was able to actually start playing, I only started playing like maybe 5 to 8 hours a day, just because I just the whole idea of hurrying up to 60 was just done. But yeah, I did
Hmm.
actually recently just hit 60 for the first time in Classic WoW, and I got a play time of 4 days and 11 hours.
Oh wow. So is that like your best time yet?
Yeah, I mean that's the only level 60 I've got so far in Classic WoW. I just been so busy just doing guide work. Like even over the last month, like people have been reporting stuff to me to help tweak my guides. So there'd be days where I just be working on my leveling guides instead of actually continuing my speed run. So my speed run on Classic launch did take like a little bit more than a month to accomplish because of that. But yeah, I still got 4 days and 11 hours, which did beat my previous PB by like 9 hours or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know now you probably don't rush it. Well, especially not now because you didn't get to do it right away. But like, how did you do with like sleep? Because I know that's another thing. People are like, "Oh, is this guy even sleeping?" Like when you see him power leveling that fast.
Right. So first of all, on Classic launch, I was ready to go all out and play 18 plus hours a day. Like I had my food already stocked up and stuff, but like I said, I couldn't do it because my website crashed and I simply could not play. But yeah, back in the day though, I did play, like 18 plus hours a day. And I was able to do that because I was laid off from work. I was a seasonal landscaper. So I had every winter off, like 5 months of the year, just completely all time to myself to do whatever I wanted to do. And I spent all that time just playing WoW, and I was able to just play every day and do just grind out those speed runs and study the game full time during that period of time, which is another reason why my leveling guides got so good because I was able to spend so much time on it back in the day.
Do you find that you have any like health issues from that, like arthritis or back pain or anything like that?
No, I never had any issues with that. I mean, during like flight pass, like I would get up and like move around and like maybe even do some jumping jacks or something like
Oh
that
yeah.
just to keep the blood flowing. I never had any issues with that, but I did hear from other people that did play constantly, like they would get back pain and stuff. But yeah, I never had any like health problems like that while leveling constantly.
Yeah, that's good. It's like anytime anyone plays, or just sits in a chair for like so long, it's like it's got to do something. But I guess at the same time, if you're as long as you're just getting up and moving around every so often, that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, plus I don't really eat much junk food, so like I'm just eating just healthy foods and stuff, so I'm sure that probably helps a lot too.
Yeah, that definitely helps. What do you normally eat? Like what was your gamer meal that you had planned out?
Well, actually, back in the day, I would eat like fruit, like a lot. I would eat like bananas and like nuts and stuff, and like on occasion, I'll have like a microwave pizza. I know it's kind of bad, but nowadays though, I eat nothing but whole fruits and vegetables and like nuts and seeds and like healthy lean meats and stuff like that.
Have you always kind of been like that, or like when did you really get into that type of diet change? 'Cause I know most people, when you think like, oh, they're like a gamer, they're like, yeah, I have like Mountain Dew and Doritos and all that.
Right, right. So I drastically changed my diet back in 2011 was when I drastically changed my diet from like just whatever I wanted to eat to making sure that I ate much healthier, like just healthier choices. Um, it was just a lot of personal reasons that I decided on that. But yeah, I've been
Hmm.
sticking with it. I'm like going on 8 years now, and I'm actually improving. Like I just eat whole organic fruits and vegetables mostly with like healthy lean meats and water. I even do water fasting on occasion where like some days where I just don't even eat anything to like just clean out. And like yeah, I turn kind of into like a health nut like over time.
I feel that because in the last like 3 years, I had my gallbladder out. I had like a whole bunch of digestive things, so I've had to change that. Plus, I started going to the gym more, so now I go to the gym like 3, 4 times a week. So it's like from going being like this skinny kid that like didn't have any muscles to like eating healthier and like working out all the time, it makes you feel better, and that makes you actually feel good to play games or do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah, taking care of your health is huge. Like you don't want to run into issues like in the future with like diseases and cancers and stuff like that. You can prevent all that. You can at least help prevent all that stuff by just living a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, so stop eating the Doritos and Mountain Dew, everybody. Get some healthy food. um, well, we're approaching about an hour right now, so we'll probably start wrapping this up. But I did want to mention the guide again because there's going to be a link below the video where you can go and purchase the guide. And I know there's probably a bunch of places out there where they have like, here's the guide for free and like they do all that. But I think it's still the best to actually support whoever is putting in the work. As somebody who, makes a living being supported by fans, essentially, I think whenever you can support somebody, I think you should support them.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And also, I wanted to mention that one of the things about purchasing my leveling guides is that I am constantly updating them all the time. So just by the fact that you have an official copy of my leveling guides will allow you to have the latest up to date version of my guide, and that's huge too because I'm constantly making things better and improving them and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like you're just buying it one off and it's like that's all you get. Like it's constantly evolving and changing to be the best. And now that Classic WoW's back, it's like I'm sure people are going to be leveling alts and leveling on other servers with friends and doing all that type of stuff too.
Right, right. And also, we are working on an in-game add-on to port my web guide into an in-game add-on, and that will be available soonish, eventually, for everyone who has purchased my leveling guide. So yeah, look for that pretty soon, and that's going to be pretty good because you're going to be able to use my guide inside the game.
Oh wow, yeah, that's really good. That's actually extremely convenient. I would definitely do that. 'Cause I need all the help I can get. So we're gonna be wrapping it up. Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, well, my Twitch is all my social media handles are pretty much Jonah, like Twitch /Jonah. Also, my website, jonasworld.com. Also, I mean, really, those are the two. Well, my Twitter is Furious Paul _. Though the name Furious Paul was the gamer name I gave myself in 2013 when I started speedrunning the Castlevania games on Twitch because I thought I was done with Joanna So I didn't know that they was going to relaunch Classic again. But
Mhm.
yeah, my Twitter handle is FuriousPaul_. And yeah, you can find all the other social media links from my website also.
Yeah, I'll have everything below because I know everyone's lazy, so it makes it easy to just click it all below the stream or video. I don't know what I'm doing. Uh,
Right, right.
so hey, thanks again for joining me. It was a good talk, and I'm glad I got to know you a bit more. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me, and good luck with all your future fishing shows. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'll well, there's traffic. That's everybody going to buy the guide right now. So yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you later.